Good morning. It's very early in the morning here, and we are going on a guided tour into the park, to Sestrum Park, and we are going to see the famous Deadvlei forest, which is trees that have kind of been fossilized or preserved because of absolutely no water, so they couldn't rot, and it's one of the most photographed Instagrammable places in the world. So I'm really excited to take you along and hopefully capture some of that splendor. So it's about 60 kilometers into the park, so we're going in an open jeep, and then we will be doing the last bit. It's mostly on a tarmac road, but the last bit is off-road in the sand, so that should be fun. So we're going to take you along with us to see some amazing sights. So let's get started. Hi, we're James and Rob, and this is our dog Oscar. We love travel in all its forms, so join us on our next adventure as we head out on the road again. So this tour was an early start. We set off around 6 o'clock to get to the gates of the park, to get in as early as possible because we wanted to avoid the heat of the day. The drive there was absolutely stunning. We got to see the sun rising over the dunes, as well as some interesting animals which we saw along the way, including this oryx, which seemed a little bit spooked by something. I'm not sure it was us. As we drove along, the terrain started to change, so you can see here that we can still see the mountains, but the terrain started to change as the mountains changed into the dunes. So this is the mountains, and then this is the dunes. The drive to Deadvlei is about 65 kilometers, and we were able to stop and capture some beautiful views along the way. As well as seeing the traditional animals, we also saw some bat-eared foxes, which were very strange looking creatures and didn't seem spooked by us being there at all, but were rather just basking in the sunshine. Once we had arrived, we parked the jeep, and we had three options of how to get to Deadvlei. So we could take a fairly flat option of about 1.1 kilometers. We could walk up Big Daddy Dune, which one person decided to do, or you could go over a medium-sized dune. But considering how hot it was, even this early in the morning, we opted for the easier route, the flat route you can see here, but even that was fairly challenging. So be mindful about which way you choose to get there. You're going to have to go over a dune one way or the other, so decide how energetic you're feeling. Make sure you've got good walking shoes, plenty of water, and have plenty of sunscreen on as well. After a 1.1 kilometer gentle stroll, we have arrived. In the heart of Namibia's Namib National Park lies one of the world's most fascinating and surreal landscapes, Deadvlei. Deadvlei, meaning dead marsh, was once a lush oasis filled with acacia trees and surrounded by a river that nourished the plants and the animals in the area. But around 900 years ago, the river dried up and the climate changed, leading to the desertification of the area. Today, Deadvlei is a surreal and strikingly beautiful landscape that is home to some of the world's most unusual trees. The ancient camel thorn trees are over 500 years old and are completely blackened and petrified by the harsh desert sun. Tourists like us come from all over the world to see Deadvlei's strikingly beautiful and eerie atmosphere. The white clay plan, the black trees, and the deep blue sky and the red dunes make for a dramatic contrast that is perfect for Instagrammers, photographers, and nature lovers alike. And while the trees may be the main attraction in Deadvlei, the surrounding red dunes are equally impressive. These towering giants are some of the tallest in the world, reaching up to 300 meters in height. As I've already said, climbing the dunes can be a challenge, especially in the hot summer sun, but the reward is a breathtaking view of the entire Deadvlei area. My advice to you is that if you do plan to come to climb the dunes, then you get to Deadvlei as soon as the park opens. We actually entered when the park gates were opening, and there was already a queue of cars. You want to get here before the sun gets too hot and really oppressive and probably dangerous to start climbing the dunes. So if you ever find yourself in Namibia, a trip to Deadvlei is an absolute must see. So here we go, a close-up of one of the trees that got cut off from its water supply, and it was so dry that these trees didn't even rot, they just became rotten, just became very dry wood, and they've stood the test of time despite people like the people behind us who are sitting on the trees despite not being told not to touch them, but there we go. But it's certainly a beautiful, eerie, surreal kind of place to visit, and something that should definitely be on your bucket list if you do choose to come here. You can see why this is such an Instagrammable place and why a lot of the Namibian advertising and promotion is taken here, and you can see people over there dressed up in their finest, which is crazy in this heat, to get their Instagram shot. I hope I'm managing to capture on this video how beautiful and surreal and calm and quiet this place is. We're really lucky that it's not too busy, but it is pretty early in the morning. So there's some of our colleagues at the top of the mountain there, people that we came on the jeep with. So the sand over the dunes is this kind of orangey red colour, which means it's old sand. In fact, this desert, the Namib Desert, is the oldest desert in the world apparently, and the reason why the sand is that orange colour is because it's full of iron. And like I said earlier, I really hope I'm capturing how beautiful it is here, how quiet and how hot it is. The ground below here, it's almost like walking on concrete because it's so baked. And like I say, the trees are standing because of this unique scenario where their water supply got cut off. So they died, but it was so hot that they couldn't even decompose, and that meant that they are remaining as these monuments to what they were 300 years ago. If you do come to Namibia, then you definitely should have this on your list of things to do, well worth doing, coming into the desert, climbing a dune if you can be bothered, and definitely visiting Deadvlei. I think this is the money shot photos with the stark black against the red of the dunes. Pretty amazing. And then following the angle of the dune. And interestingly enough, these dunes don't move, partly because of grasses that grow in them that keep them in place, whereas dunes in other parts of the world and other parts of Namibia move a metre or so every single year, but these ones never move. And they're either called numbers or names like Big Daddy or Big Mama, which is over there, or they don't have a name at all. And the reason why they named them is so that they could check whether they actually move or not, and as it turns out, they don't move. This is dune 45, which is one of the only dunes where you can park fairly close, and then you can walk up to the top if you so wish. But as we're heading towards midday, it's getting very, very hot, so probably not a very good idea. In next week's video, we're going to show you more around Sossusvlei Lodge. It was our last day in Sossusvlei, and we're going to take you to see Sesrium Canyon as well before we head back to Windhoek and catch our flight down to Cape Town. So make sure you join us next week as we head out on the road again.